Okay, this is a little bit of extending the metaphor that goes on in a lot of the spiritual circles, which is about the wave in the ocean. And what I found in myself is that I got very grandiose about the whole thing because there's sort of a recognition like, the wave is inseparable from the ocean and the wave is the ocean and all this sort of thing. So then I basically started sort of believing myself essentially to be God, in a sense, like the whole ocean. It's like, wow, if I'm inseparable from the ocean, maybe I am the whole ocean. And there's sort of this, for me it felt like a very grandiose sort of idea that I'm some sort of all-powerful, that essentially playing God, I'm believing myself to be God in my own mind. And then sort of looking at people who don't recognize themselves as inseparable from the ocean and say, well, they're all just kind of lost waves, but I'm the ocean, or this is the ocean, and all of these are waves that are struggling to find their way back to the ocean. And the more I look into it, the more I see it's like, wow, I really am just a drop, if that, just so tiny and insignificant in one way, and yet inseparable and totally dependent upon, the love of the ocean for everything. So it can be a very humbling thing to sort of realize that it's like, wow, I don't have to play God. I don't have to believe myself to be more powerful than I really am. I don't have to try to find an identity that's any better for myself. I can just be who I am and recognize the inseparability between the wave and the ocean, but not have to claim oceanship. Just to be content with my wavehood, let myself wave, and not have to try to make myself into some sort of grandiose oceanic identity, which is what I was doing, especially in non-duality dogma, dare I say it. So it feels like just an ongoing self-discovery, which is totally dependent upon the grace of the One, and has nothing to do with my own, independent endeavors, because we can see that there are no independent endeavors, that it all comes from the source directly, and whether or not we acknowledge it is fine. But spirituality is about recognizing the truth of what is, and really, being intimate with it, and not having to feel as though we stand somehow apart from, that we stand like off to the sideline, kind of looking in and wanting to see what's going on, wanting to kind of have the sense, that we're part of something greater or something, and feeling like we're just kind of skirting around. So to me it's always about just falling in, falling back in love. Because that seems to be what's real. I mean, I couldn't find anything more real, with all the doctrines and all the different belief systems, and even the big experiences, even having amazing experiences happen, I would just hijack them right after, and it would be kind of an excuse not to keep going, not to keep delving into it, not to keep loving, surrendering to that love and allowing it to really flower in my life. And I know it can sound so kind of cliched and sappy or something, but I don't know, it's just, when I started coming across it in a more direct way, it seems like it can't not be talked about, especially in spiritual circles, because it seems to be the sought after goal is the unconditional love, and yet it's always here anyway. So So it's like we don't have to engage in all the fancy processes and stuff like that, and different, you know, levels, and what level am I at, and how's it all going, and checking up on myself and seeing how enlightened I really am or something. You know, all the little tricks that we play on ourselves to maintain that sense that we're separate, or to maintain the sense that we're, you know, that we're God or something, you know, that we're beyond our current post, in a way, kind of conceptualizing ourselves, you know, like, wow, I must be so powerful that, you know, I could do all this to myself, and that I could think all these things and have this realization. And even with non-dual language, you know, the whole thing, like, there's no self and there's no one here and all that kind of thing, it really doesn't prevent getting hooked into these false ideas, because you can make them a lot more subtle. So you can have thoughts that don't even use personalized language, and yet it's still just the same old kind of belief systems that have just kind of, you know, gotten a little more subtle and filtered down so that they're not as easy to recognize as the same old BS. So it's, for me, what helps is just to stick with what I know for sure is not BS. And, you know, I can call that love. God is love. And of course, even the word God, people use it differently. So it's the best thing is just to drop everything and just recognize what's real, what we know is real, what can't help but be real in our direct experience, and not have to sort of toss any ideas around and think about it, because thinking about it is just not, like, for me, it just doesn't seem to cut it. Or holding up a belief system, or remembering an experience, or anything that has to do with concepts just feels like a sort of a stale kind of reality. It doesn't have much juice. Anyway, that's just another little spiel about love. I don't know. I guess falling in love with love makes you a lot more likely to talk about it, because it's like falling in love with another human being. Like, what are you thinking about and talking about all the time, and what's important now? That's kind of what it is. It's the recognition, like, wow, this is my everything. This is what matters. This is the important reality. This is the important thing in my life. And everything else is kind of details. Nothing wrong with anything else, but it's sort of like it can be compared to, you know, finding that special someone, except for this special someone isn't a someone, and they're not gonna leave you and they're not gonna betray you in some way or want something from you. So that's the good news about it, for sure. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and much love. That's all there is. Thank you.